Hello, Gordon. How are you?
Long time no see.
Yeah. Come in, have a seat.
Where do you want me? In the middle? In the...
All right, you could, I have a cold if you want to go over there. But
Okay, I'll go over here because I'm sick too.
yeah. Ladies and gentlemen, I want to introduce to you Gordon Burrows. Gordon Burrows is the county legislator for the 15th legislative district here in the city of Yonkers. He's running for re-election. He's a Republican. He's a good friend of mine, somebody that I can say I kind of grew up with myself because I've known him about 25 years. And I consider him a friend. I consider him an honorable guy. I consider him just a perfect gentleman all around and an amazing legislator. He's been doing this for a long time. He's worked his way up from city council to county legislator. He's been doing an amazing job. He's running for re-election. He has an opponent that was in here not long ago. But, we here at Black Westchester, we don't endorse candidates, but AJ's not here, so I'm going to tell y'all. I'm endorsing Gordon Burrows. And he's got my full support, and I'll do whatever I can so that he can have victory once again in the county legislative district. So anyway, Gordon, hi, welcome.
Lorraine, it's wonderful to see you again.
It's good to see you.
It's been so long. It's a shame we spend so much time with a legislator. I all the old people, Vinnie Restiano, Ed Fagans. And you spend every day, it seems, for 2 years and sometimes 4 years. And then suddenly people are out of your life.
Yeah.
And it's just so wonderful to see you.
But, I've always kept track of you. I've always kept track. Always knew what you were doing. And you've been doing amazing work. You've never stopped doing amazing work. And it's really, really good to have you here.
Well,
AJ?
while we were waiting for AJ to come in,
yeah.
I noticed there was a young little boy outside, and I asked him what his name was, and he goes, "My name is Mason." And I said, "What are you doing here?" He goes, "My grandma is in there." And I couldn't believe that Lorraine is a grandmother now.
3 times.
God bless you. I found out
3 times. She's my oldest, yeah.
I just found out on Father's Day, my son wound up sending me a card saying, "Happy Father's Day, Grandpa."
Oh,
so
my God, that's so awesome. Congratulations.
I will be joining the ranks of being a grandfather.
Oh, we're getting there.
Hopefully around February 15th, I'll have
my birthday's February 5th, so that's great.
There you go.
Mason's in February, too.
And my daughter will be 30 tomorrow, and I'm happy to announce I am not a grandfather. And
you have a daughter who's 30 years old?
She'll be 30 tomorrow, yes.
I find that hard to believe just looking at you right now.
I will be 54 in February, yes.
Okay.
Yes.
Congratulations.
And I'm finally just spitting it out like that, them 50 pluses, before you be like, I'll be 54 in February.
Well,
I'm proud of it.
AJ, I'm very happy to see you still have your Yankee cap. I know yesterday we suffered a devastating loss, but
at the end they should have just. They could have walked the dude or something.
DJ LeMayu, when he hit that home run in the top of the ninth to tie the game, I just thought it was destiny for the Yankees to win that game.
Well, I'm a diehard New York sports fan. I am one of the few still confessed New York Knicks fans.
Oh, I am as well.
when they played the championship with Houston, I had New York plates. So when they lost, I was catching hell. I was all the way down to Atlanta, boy. People was beeping, laughing at me.
Got to stick with your team no matter what.
Yeah.
And even though it's frustrating being a Knicks fan, you still got to love those Globetrotters.
Right.
So.
And I did like the Mets. I liked the Darryl Strawberry, Dwight Gooden era of the Mets. That was the era
that powerhouse team.
That was the
then.
era that I was really into the Mets. I've always been City Yankees. Actually, I lived in Long Island for a little while, so we went to Met games in Long Island. Then, but I'm from Mount Vernon, so we go to Yankee game. So I got to see both.
Where in Mount Vernon?
Where in Mount Vernon?
Yeah.
South 7th Avenue.
Okay, I lived for just about 2 years on Rich Avenue.
Okay,
in Mount Vernon, which is a very beautiful area of Mount Vernon,
yes.
and I was young.
Right around the corner from our previous mayor. Richard Thomas lives not too far from Rich Avenue.
Sad what's happened to Mount Vernon because it's such a tremendous history, but to have 3 mayors over the last 3 months is hard to handle.
Yeah. Yeah. But
Mount Vernon is resilient.
But Mount Vernon monopolizes the news all the time, every day, and we're going to talk about you right now.
Love to.
So I don't know where y'all got so far. First off, give me your official welcome to the show. Welcome to the show.
Thank you for inviting me. I really appreciate it.
Absolutely. Lorraine, again, one more time, introduce our guest. What position, what seat he's running for?
This is the Honorable Gordon Burrows, County Legislator for the 15th Legislative District in the city of Yonkers. He's running for County Legislator, for re-election, County Legislator. He's a personal friend, overall good guy, amazing legislator, and I'm really glad to have him here. I'm really glad he's here so that people can get to, those that don't know can know.
And before you say a word, I want to. Donna Nolan said, "Great guy, and my legislator supported my family."
Wow. Well, that's very, very nice. They've gone through a tragedy, and so it's very nice to be supported by somebody like that.
Hey, Donna.
Now, county legislator, like with the show.
I'm sorry?
I'm about to ask you a question. County legislator, with the show, right? I find out before I really did the show, before 2014, I really was not. I was like a lot of people, not engaged in politics. I've learned on my, as I went along, I've learned a lot. What does the county legislator do for those who don't know? Because a lot of people don't even know.
It's a good question, and I'll be honest with you. I was served in the Yonkers City Council, and I was with Lorraine Lopez for 10 years, and I'd like to consider myself on the inside and looking in. And I originally thought there was no need for county government. When you wind up educating yourself and you learn, you understand why there is a need for county government. And there is county government in every state with the exception of two. One of them, I believe, is the state of Connecticut, and the other one is somewhere in the Northeast as well. But the county government was established really to deliver services more efficiently. The services are generally provided by the state because New York State and states tend to be very large. They find that it's better to deliver these services on a county basis. And for instance, Westchester County, we have roughly 1 million people that live in Westchester County.
Right.
So there's people that are on social services. There's a real need for social services. We have parks departments in Westchester County, which is one of the more affluent counties. We are fortunate to have 17 parks. We have 6 golf courses. We have 5 conservation areas.
Wow.
We have 18,000 acres of open space. We have the Beeline bus transfer system, which is something that for people who can't afford a car or somebody who doesn't have the ability to buy a car for whatever reason, we have 58 bus routes. We service 27 million riders a year.
Wow.
We have the Westchester Community College, which is one of the better community colleges, not just in New York, but all of the United States, so we have something to be proud of. We have the county police. They patrol the Bronx River Parkway, the Sawmill River Parkway. We have things like the Bomb Squad and the Health Department and Consumer Affairs. We have a Human Rights Commission. And obviously, as county legislator, we also are responsible for paying county taxes or for levying a county tax bill. What the misnomer is, when you wind up for every dollar that you have that you pay in taxes, anywhere from 15 to 20%, it's really about 17%, it goes to county taxes. The rest and the majority of it, I would say 62%, go to our school system, and the remaining 25% are for your city taxes, village taxes, town taxes. The county, we have about a $2 billion budget, which is nothing to sneeze at. Most of which the budget
billion with a B.
2 billion with a B, yes.
Wow.
And most of which is imposed by our state. So we have probably 80% of our budget is mandatory, and about 20 we have some flexible dollars. So county government delivers a lot, and as I said before, we have 1 million residents. There's 17 county legislators. Each legislator represents between 55 to 57, 58,000 residents. I happen to be the legislator in the 15th County Legislative District, which encompasses all of the village of Bronxville, the northeast section of Yonkers, and the northwest section of Yonkers. And what I try to tell everybody, if you can picture the letter E, it's almost like a reverse E. And a lot of that is due basically to gerrymandering, legislators being able to go and put their district they want. But I represent everywhere from, if you come down the Bronx River, from the north where Scarsdale meets, almost to the cross county. Then it comes along Central Avenue, and Central Avenue north. Then it cuts over to Fort Hill Road or Jackson Avenue, cuts all the way over to the northwest section of Yonkers, almost all the way to the Hudson River.
Wow. Okay.
And then back down to Park Avenue. So it's a big district. If it's Park Avenue, if you're familiar with Whalen Ball Funeral Home, that's where it is. Roberts Avenue.
Is Delavan Terrace yours?
Say again?
Delavan Terrace? That's right across from Whalen and Ball.
Yeah. Well, it all depends because, like I said, it's gerrymandered. But that I don't believe we represent. But
Okay.
but it's just about to Whalen, but right in that area, Park Avenue.
All right.
So it's a lot. It's a big district, and I've been fortunate to represent the people of that district for the last 14 years.
Wow.
And before that, I was fortunate to represent the people in the north section of Yonkers as a councilman for 10 years, of which
Yes.
I was able to serve. How
which
many years did
district?
we serve together? 2 years?
2
or
years.
4?
2 years before I went to the administration.
Right. Then she was promoted, for lack of a better word. I don't know, promoted. She wound up working with John Spencer, right?
John Spencer and Emma Coney. 20-some years I spent with both of them.
Amazing. You
What,
did
so
public
what
service
district
in
were
Illinois.
you as a council person?
As a council person, I represented the 5th council
Okay.
district, and I was very fortunate for the 10 years that I represented the people in the Northeast. 7 of those 10 years, I believe I was maybe majority leader when you were on the board.
Yes.
For 7 out of the 10 years, I served as the majority leader, which is a position that you're not elected to. You're basically voted in by your colleagues. And during that 7 out of the 10 years, I thought our city council worked famously together. We worked in a bipartisan spirit.
It was a lot of fun.
It was a lot of fun. And Lorraine, if you remember right, and I keep on touting this when I talk about my record and our record, Waterfront was really just taking its infancy stage at that point in time.
Yes.
We had hundreds of years of documents with dust on them proposing how to build a waterfront. And it really happened under our leadership, I believe, where the dust came off and you really saw shovel to the ground and progress being done. And
the beginning of the Esplanade.
correct.
Yeah.
We did a lot of wonderful things, and I was eventually term limited out of the Yonkers City Council, and then fortunate enough to come back into public service when Lou Mazziello, who was then the county legislator, got elected as a state assemblyman, and there was a vacancy, and I got elected in a February special election, and I've been lucky enough to serve since then.
So wow, that was a lot of information. Keisha,
good.
Keisha Skipper said that whatever you named,
Delavan Terrace
It's
is
in
the
16th
16th. Yeah, sorry.
legislature.
Thanks,
It's-
Keisha.
It's in Legislator Johnson's district, I believe.
Yeah.
Oh, that's
yeah.
Christian. Okay,
Yeah.
okay.
Christopher Johnson, yeah.
But it is all jagged over there. It's amazing how it's all cookie cuttered out.
Yeah. Have
So-
the demographics in your district changed at all?
Of course. I tell everybody that at one time you could have been Jesse James and won as a Republican. Now it is extremely hard, as you know, to win as a
Yeah.
Republican. The county and the dynamics have changed drastically over the last 25 years. The county board, which used to be majority Republican, has not been Republican, at least during my entire term. It's been a Democratic board. Right now, we have 17 members. 13 members are Democrats, 4 are Republican. So they have a supermajority. There's now a county executive who's a Democrat, and it's been my responsibility as the minority whip, a position of leadership on the board, to work in a bipartisan spirit with all of my colleagues.
You didn't have the majority under Astorino?
Well, no, we didn't have the majority as Republicans. We had the majority working in a bipartisan coalition
okay.
with 2 Democrats.
Okay,
So
okay.
with the 7 Republicans that we had and the 2 Democrats, we were able to take control, and we worked in a bipartisan spirit with Rob Astorino to move Westchester forward.
Okay. So, okay. Before I forget to, I ask all candidates, for people that are hearing about you the first time, it's hard to get everything in a half an hour. I want to know more about you. I want to support you. I want to. How do I follow you? Your website, social media.
Well, as I said, my name is Gordon Burrows. I'm a lifelong resident of the city of Yonkers, having lived in, for the most part, Colonial Heights. I'm a product of the Yonkers school system. I went to the old school 28, which is now known as the Cabrillo Gibran School. I did spend some time over in Chapel School in Bronxville for 4 years, but then I went to Walt Whitman High School in Yonkers, which is now referred to as the Dotson School. And then I finished my high school education over at Roosevelt High School.
Wow.
From there, I wound up, and Roosevelt High School was a tremendous high school back then. I wound up going to college over in upstate New York, and then after graduating from college, I went to the St. John's University School of Law, where I got my law degree in 3 years. I'm a practicing lawyer for 33 years. I'm a father of 5. All of my children have been college educated. I have one is in his last semester. He's going to be a CPA. And as I was saying before you came in, AJ, I just found out on Father's Day that I'm going to be a grandfather. So I've
Nice.
gone through the entire circuit of being a young parent, trying to make ends meet, now going to be a grandparent. The one thing that I didn't account for, you always figure about you got to pay for college. What I didn't account for is children's weddings. My daughter got married, my son got married, and out went a lot of money. So that just remind everybody about all those things.
I remember when they were tiny. They were.
Oh.
Well, I remember when 05 they were so little.
Well, I was
Wow,
fortunate.
look at that.
I was
Wow.
fortunate enough to hear Elena Goldberg speak beforehand and how she was bragging how she brings her child over.
Yeah.
And I did the same thing. I
Yeah.
think it's so incumbent upon us as parents to get our children involved, and I commend you for having the show. I hope if I get to be reelected that you will invite me again.
Well, I would like, and I've extended this. I guess this is my first meeting with you, but I definitely I've had Ken Jenkins on when he was. Lyndon's been on several times. One or two others. I encourage our county legislators to come and let us know what's going on, and update the constituents.
If I'm fortunate enough to win, I
You will
promise
be.
you I will be here again. I promise you.
Yeah.
I appreciate that. I appreciate that. I appreciate it. Now, you didn't give your.
You wanted the Facebook, you said.
Social media. Yeah.
Well, Facebook page is Gordon Burrows, Westchester County Legislator, District 15.
Spell your last name just for the.
Burrows. So
Okay.
Burrows.
Okay.
Westchester County Legislator, District 15. Email would be gordonburrows2019@gmail.com. And then you could always contact me through phone number that we've already matched. And if anybody ever needs constituent services, it's 914-995-2830.
Okay. Are you on Twitter?
No, I'm not.
Okay. I'm promoting our Twitter page. I'm sharing links of the show. on
One
Twitter.
thing I'm starting to realize, that's the new future. It's really the past future at this point in time, and my kids are very good on that. And now they're starting to get a presence for me on Twitter. So we're advancing into that venue.
I find Twitter so complicated. I don't know.
So, Lorraine, any questions? Did you want to?
I could go on forever if you want. I
Yeah.
could talk about-
Why don't you go on? Because I want people to hear you. To know who you.
What have you found to be maybe some of the biggest challenges since you've been in office? Like you said, the demographics has changed a little bit. What do you find is some of the biggest challenges that you would like to, address?
Well, first of all, I've always thought, and people don't realize, Westchester County is the highest tax county, not just in the state of New York,
in the
but
country.
all of America.
No,
Exactly.
I went to the if you Google it, top tax counties that pay the highest tax. Westchester is number one.
Number one, and that's a distinction we don't want to have.
Matter of fact, several are in New York and New Jersey. I mean, Nassau and Suffolk somewhere behind, and a couple other in Jersey, but we the top 5. Most of them are in the tri-state area.
Well, you got to realize that a lot of that is governed by the region. I mean, if you look at the top 10, let's say, 8 out of the 10, I believe, are all from the Northeast. So it's just because there's a higher cost of living over here.
Absolutely.
But still, it's a distinction you don't want. So I've always made a hallmark of my legislative career, whether it was on the Yonkers City Council and or the county legislator, is to try to relieve the taxpayer of the tax burden. Which is one of the reasons why when I was on the Yonkers City Council, we had a budget of one budget of that was 0% tax increase. We wound up eliminating 2/3 of the Yonkers taxes, where you have, when you transfer and sell a house, you have to pay a certain percentage, which I think is a hostage tax, the income tax surcharge. Those things I've always made as a hallmark of my legislative career to try to eliminate. When I became a county board of legislator, you'll remember that our county executive at that point in time was Andy Spano. Taxes had shot up over 63, 64%, maybe it was 68%. We were hemorrhaging, and I immediately, working with colleagues, tried to propose a 0% tax increase. And because we were not in the majority, we were not able to present that plan. We presented the plan, but it wasn't supported. When Rob Astorino, who was a Republican at that time, came into office, he adopted the same plans that we had done, and you saw 7 consecutive years of no property tax increase in Westchester County. So I take a lot of pride in that. In the 15th County Legislative District, we have a flooding problem. When I became the legislator, it was a problem that already pre-existed. I immediately have seen that, especially after we had the one major storm, where a lot of the residents in the community of Bronxville and Cedar Knolls and Armavilla, Lawrence Park West, all wound up having severe flooding problems in their house. So I immediately started setting aside monies in the capital improvement plan in order to ensure that we could address these issues. And in fact, what we wound up doing is that all development that takes place in Westchester County, and this has been a focus of mine now, such that now every time that there's a project or a development that takes place, that is something that we wind up looking at. Water restoration, making sure that the wetlands are protected, and that we can make sure that all future projects, for instance, we spent about $86 million on the rehab of bridges along the Bronx River and Sawmill, projects that need to be done. And every one of those projects takes into account trying to widen off the Bronx River, the water restoration, the development project that we had over at Ridge Hill. There is a large underwater tank that is supposed to be able to collect waters before it overflows, because that would rush into the Sawmill River, and then they converge with the Bronx River, and you have the flooding backing out into the Bronxville, Yonkers area. So these are all the things that I've taken pride to try to do. It's taken a while to set aside the monies, but now we have monies that we could start looking at the Army Corps of Engineers starting to maybe dredge, let's say, the Bronx River. When I was a young boy, you used to be able to ice skate on that river. You used to be able to really do some nice things.
Wow. Now
you could walk across that river because of all of the soil and sediment that's there. And I think that's one of the reasons why we have the flooding problems that we have in the southern tip of Westchester County.
I have a statement and 2 questions. Number 1, when you was a city council member, you was the co-sponsor of the carbon monoxide law.
Yes.
Yes. We made history that back then. And then a question: do you live in Nita Lois district?
I do.
And when you win re-election, if the party approaches you and says, we want you to be our candidate, what say you?
You know, I would be honored to be asked to be a candidate for any public office, but I got to tell you, Gordon Burrows doesn't have a real dying ambition to be anything more than a county legislator. I'm a lawyer by trade, you know, and everybody says, geez, you've been 24 years in politics, you're a career politician. I do not see myself as a career politician. I'm a career lawyer. I passed and sponsored the legislation for term limits, both on the Yonkers City Council I supported that,
Can
and I did it on.
Can I stop you right
Yes.
there? I have to. What do you feel? Like you said, you helped that. What do you feel about the overturning of the term limits? Not that it affects you in either way.
I thought it was a mistake.
Okay,
And
that's why I wondered.
I've been very clear on that. The only reason I thought it was a mistake is because we sent it out, the Yonkers City Council sent that out to referendum for the people to vote. And the people's vote was basically usurped as a result of the legislative body and the mayor electing to take a third term. While I think the legislators that are in office right now are amazing legislators and they are good for the city of Yonkers, and I see some positive to extending their tenure, I just think it's a smack in the voters' face when they voted for a referendum. They said, I want you in office for 8 years, and then you unilaterally extend it.
And I asked that not necessarily an attack on the current administration, but as for someone who fought to get that in place, what did you feel? That's what I just wanted you, because that's perspective
I think it was
that
a mistake.
Couldn't nobody else speak on. You know, it's I want you. Yeah.
I
You
thought
know,
it was a
Mayor
mistake.
Spam came here to this show, said right here, and said, "I am not in favor of it. I'm not gonna run for re-election, whether it get extended or not, and."
He wasn't pushing for the extended.
Yeah.
But I know John Spencer at one time wanted to
I remember
extend,
that.
and he at least did not. We did not. I know I was on the city council, and John, who I think was a great mayor, and really was a leader. John could also, and I joke with him all the time. He called me one of the bravest legislators for having gone after Terry Zaleski, and I was the tough guy. And then about 6 months later, called and said I had the biggest yellow streak down my back because I didn't agree with him on an issue dealing with the unions. So, bottom line is I try to be my own person. I try to do what I think is right. And I think that's one of the reasons why I've been successful thus far.
Last question, last word. Any last words? Anything that you want to get out that I didn't ask you? Well, because we got the next candidate coming in too.
Okay, a quick question.
Yeah.
Your opponent was here, and your opponent, I guess the biggest thing that she talked about was that you were not visible. You were not around. What do you have to say to that?
That's simply not true. And I guess, when you're the incumbent, have to have thick skin because they challenge you on everything. I have 25 years of public service. And if that's the only thing she can criticize me when it's not true, go ahead. I mean, she resorted to looking back 4 years ago on some attendance records. I happen to look at my attendance records this last 2 years, and I have 85% attendance record at meetings, and it's not taking into account I happen to serve in a position of leadership. I don't attend a meeting. I might be with George Latimer, who is the county executive, discussing it, or I'll be in a leadership meeting with my other colleagues.
Yeah.
Or that doesn't take into account a meeting that is called 24 hours in advance, and I have to be over at law in the court, representing a client for a trial. So I just think, when you wind up using statistics, sometimes you can falsify it and spin it the way you want, and I think it's unfortunate that somebody would do that.
And this has to be the last question. Paul Cuesta?
Paul Anthony Cuesta. Presidio Cuesta.
Yes. He said, can I ask Gordon about what? Go ahead, read the question.
Okay, he said, AJ, can I ask Gordon about what he does to differentiate himself from the mainstream Republican Party and the Trump administration? Also, is he a supporter of Trump's policies?
And this is the final question. Go ahead.
Well, first of all, I don't know Donald Trump, and everybody's trying to, if you're running against a Republican, everybody tries to paint you as Donald Trump. So, I think Donald Trump has done some good things, and I think he's done some terrible things.
Yeah.
Just like I thought Barack Obama did some good things, and he did some horrible things as well. I don't define myself by a party. I define myself by what I believe is the right thing. I think Abraham Lincoln said, you serve your party best when you wind up serving the people first. And that's what I try to do. And as far as I'm concerned, I will always look at an issue by the issue itself. I don't look at it as a party person. I look at it as what is best for my constituents.
Thank you.
answer.
That was actually a great answer. I want to thank you for coming through and wish you the best. And again, open door policy to come back through and speak on the issues that you want to bring to.
I got to say, this was a very pleasant atmosphere. Thank you so much.
You know, it's funny because at one point, while some Democrats were warned against the show, all Republicans were warned from, don't go on that show. No, don't go on that show.
I think I've heard those things. And it's false.
More Republicans have been on in the last 2 years and been like, man, I don't know why they told me not to come on here.
I try to bring as many
Thank you for
Republicans on,
making me feel so comfortable and for giving me the ability to at least speak to people and let them know what I'm stand for.
Well, I mean, the bottom line is, we have to. I'm two things. One, I'm not a blindly loyal Democrat. I'm not into blind loyalty to any party. I'm an independent party. But I believe in voting for the best candidate. I've been on the record. I did not vote for our district attorney. I voted for Bruce Bender because when I asked the questions that had to deal with criminal justice, he gave me the best answers, and I thought he was the best candidate. I believe in voting for the best candidate. And even when people come in here with tickets, I tell people don't fall for the ticket thing because somebody who might not be good gets in. Vote for the best person in each position. So I think,
And that would be Gordon Burrows for county legislator of the 15th legislative district.
In closing, I'll just say I am not only a Republican, I have the Republican designation, but I also have the independence line, I have the conservative line, and there's a new party that's just out.
Sam.
Right, you have the
Save America movement, which I think it represents a lot of disenfranchised Democrats and Republicans.
I'm going to look into that because I actually might switch my party. If I like what they're saying, I might actually switch to Sam.
Well, thank you for the opportunity once again. It was very nice meeting you, AJ, and Lorraine. It's good seeing you once again.
It was a pleasure. You know how much I love you.
The person who asked you that question, Paul, said, thank you, guys. I respect his response.
Thank you. And he's very active in the Democratic Party this time.
And with that, we're going to